Hey guys, this is Donnie, Standing Goats Rescue. I'm going to go out here and share some articles. This is the chop over there. That's where they cleared a lot of the woods for foresting. I felt over here, this area. I got run out of this area twice. Not seeing stuff, but I just got really creeped out and heard some stuff that really scared me, and so I left. I did not get chased out. Let me turn it where you guys can see what's going on. This road is washed out. It used to continue off into the swamp. We've got a swamp on both sides of us here. It's a pretty area. We're going to try to do an article or two over here. This swamp is so pretty. I can't get away from them. Swamps are beautiful. Yeah, it's muddy, but I mean, it is so pretty in there. You know, where I'd heard, I was back there, and I ended up hearing bipedal footsteps coming really fast, like running towards me. I didn't see anything, but I didn't stick around to see what was causing that either. The swamp is just amazing. See if we got an opening down here. It's got these big culverts going under the ground. One of them's out there, and we were given permission that we could take them. The ones that are no longer under the road. So there's one right through right there. There's one right out there, and there's another one further back. I can barely see it out there. See, this in here is a big one. That's a 52-inch culvert. The others are, I think they're 38 inches. But this is where they washed out from, was right here. They had two culverts in that section and one here. These washed out. There's another one right down there. You can see part of it. The other section, it's over there. But it's on the other side of the boundary. We were told we could have it, but the person who owns that land, we can't locate that person to get permission to get that one. So we're not going to worry with it. Such a beautiful area. I wonder if I can get down. I can probably get down. I don't know if I can get back up. Is that going to fall? Yeah, that's definitely going to fall. So if we could maybe give it a boost. Oh, it's got a rope right there. I don't know what it's tied to. Maybe that pine. Blue and white rope. Oh, there's some right here too. A whole pile of blue and white rope. It's not a good view that way. It's too thick. Did y'all hear that? It's in the water. All right, maybe I won't be in here. I just heard something in the water back there. That tree was like whittled off. I wonder if that was a beaver. I don't know if there's any beavers here. I'm sure there is with the water. Oh, that root's chewed, that end's chewed. Something's been eating at it. You find somewhere we get set. I don't want to be here long. It's starting to get active in here. I know you guys probably aren't hearing the sounds of the fire sounds. I don't think you guys are going to be able to hear it. I'm using the wireless microphone, so I doubt you're going to hear it with this mic. Well, let me get set up. Give me just a second. All right, guys. I'm trying to get set up now. So stand by just for a second. Let me get ready. I just heard something sound like somebody's laughing. It almost sounded like a monkey. Sound like laughing. Didn't scare me, just an odd sound. All right. See what we got. I really want to share these pictures. It's got 4 photos. Let me see what these photos are on this one. So may just wait. You know, there's so many different photos that Brother Don sends us. These are location photos. Yes. Okay. Yeah, these are just location photos. Maybe we will share these at a later time. Let's get this article done. All right, I have to do this fast, guys. I don't want to be right here. I'm really scared. All right, the June to July 1930 Northern Ohio Bigfoot Trail of Terror. The same creature or different ones. The years June to July of 1930, and the location is Norwalk, the Huron River, Fremont, Algiers, and Homerville, Ohio. The information sources for this article is the Chronicle Telegram of Elyria, Ohio, June 6th, 7th, 9th, and July 30th of 1930. The Tribune of Coshocton, Ohio, June 7th, 12th of 1930. The Independent of Helena, Montana, June 7th of 1930. News of Lima, Ohio, June 7th of 1930. The Messenger of Athens, Ohio, June 8th of 1930. And the Signal of Zanesville, Ohio, on June 29th of 1930. The preface reads, below is a series of 10 articles that appeared in 6 different newspapers over the course of June to July of 1930. They describe a lumbering anthropoid ape being seen by quite a few people, which included out-of-town tourists, hospital employees, farmers, motorists on the highway, along with tracks along the river. The encounters are all located in the north-central part of Ohio, but the sighting locations in towns span quite a few miles apart in different neighboring counties. Was it the same creature or a tribe of different ones? If the same creature, it sure got around. What was it about these 2 months that caused the rash of sightings and encounters beyond the ordinary? How did it avoid all capture, using caves, dimensional portals, cloaking, distance, or simply camouflage? Whatever the answer, it caused quite a terror. That's a loud woodpecker. At first listen, it may sound like repeat newspaper articles with the same text, but they are the same articles being used with slight updates, or other counties are using the same article and adding their own updates. Note how new terms and phrases are used to describe this creature that were not used in previous decades and centuries. God, that was loud. I'm on the edge. Sorry. Ape terrifies Norwalk. Norwalk, Ohio, June 6th. Terrified residents of Norwalk today were barring doors and windows and afraid to leave their homes on the report that a large ape was seen running wild near the Memorial Hospital. Police and deputies began a systematic search for the beast after it was authentically reported that a dog was seen fighting with the animal. The hospital is near the Norwalk city limits. It is believed the ape escaped from a circus which showed here about 10 days ago. The animal was last seen in the garden of John Liddell, just over a corporation line. Many other persons reported seeing the beast in a woods nearby. A party of Detroit motorists parked along the road yesterday were frightened when the animal appeared near the highway, and they notified the sheriff's office. A search failed to find any trace of the ape. Employees of the hospital also have told police of seeing the animal near the building. Escaped ape has Ohioans worried. Sheriff will seek circus animal. Norwalk, Ohio, June 6th. An ape, thought to be a chimpanzee or an orangutan, recently escaped from a circus which has frightened persons west of the city in the last 5 days, and will be the subject of a search by Sheriff Harry D. Smith and a posse of men he announced late today. The animal was first seen by 3 motorists from Detroit who ran out of gasoline near the home of John Lundahl, a farmer west of the city. One of the men, badly frightened, ran for a quarter of a mile to a gasoline station where he told his story to the attendant. Seen in a garden. Lundahl and his wife and 2 grown sons reported seeing the animal 3 nights ago in their garden. The next evening, persons pacing near the farm also reported seeing it. It was reported the ape had frightened boys away from the old swimming pool west of the Lundahl home. Organized hunt for the ape at Norwalk. Norwalk, Ohio, June 7th. Terrified women and anxious children who have remained behind locked doors in their homes for the past few days today eagerly awaited the result of the organized search planned for this afternoon for an ape reported roaming the woods on western outskirts of the city. That section of the town spent a night of terror when a posse of 100 men and deputies failed to find any trace of the supposed beast in a hunt through the woods about midnight. John Lundahl is the latest person to have reported seeing the beast in the garden at the rear of his home near the city limits. He said his dog had been barking at the animal for several nights and that on investigation he sighted the ape in a crouching position. Others who have seen the anthropoid include 2 motorists from Detroit and another party of tourists from Mansfield, Ohio. Although Sheriff Harry D. Smith places little credence in the existence of the ape, he has offered the aid of the deputies in finding the beast. Ape hunted by posse in Ohio. 100 armed men with shotguns and rifles search woods, but beast not seen. Norwalk, Ohio, June 7th. Norwalk went ape hunting early today but found nothing resembling the beast whose reported presence in the vicinity gave women and children a scare. A posse of 100 men led by Chief of Police F.R. Remington and armed with shotguns and rifles started at midnight but found nothing that looked like an anthropoid beast. A number of tourists, truck drivers, and John Lundahl, a farmer living just outside the city, had declared they saw an ape or some kind of lumbering, half-upright creature in the last few days. Those believing in the presence of an ape pointed out that one was reported to have escaped some time ago from a circus at Sandusky, Ohio. Army of ape hunters searched North Ohio for anthropoid. Norwalk, Ohio, June 7th. An army of ape hunters, a new kind of searching party in Ohio, is combing northern Ohio today for a large anthropoid ape which is reported to be roaming this section. Residents in the vicinity of Norwalk are horror-stricken following the many persistent reports of the huge animal's roaming activities. First reports came from a party of motorists from Detroit. They said they had seen the ape Monday near the Norwalk Memorial Hospital. Local residents scoffed at the news. Impossible was the common opinion. A tourist from Mansfield gave the next report. He said he saw the beast in the outskirts of the city. Many truck drivers and motorists made similar reports. Norwalk citizens still thought someone was just seeing things. John Lundahl, who lives near the city limits, went into his garden to quiet his dog last night. The dog had scented something. Lundahl saw the shape of what appeared to be a man. As the shape lumbered away in true anthropoid fashion, Landau remembered the rumor about the ape. He didn't wait to see it anymore. It was reported several weeks ago that an ape escaped from a circus at Sandusky, Ohio. Roman ape still at large near Norwalk as terrified residents stay in homes awaiting capture. Organized search planned over the weekend for the beast that is reported seen by citizen and 2 parties of tourists. Norwalk, June 7th. Terrified women and anxious children who have remained behind locked doors in their homes for the past few days today eagerly awaited the results of the organized search planned over the weekend for an ape reported to roam in the woods on the western outskirts of the city. That section of the town spent a night of terror when a posse of 100 men and deputies failed to find any trace of the supposed beast in a hunt through the woods about midnight. The young army of hunters carried shotguns, picks, clubs, and rifles. Flashlights and lights from Aldo's aided in the search. The entire west side of the city was in a grip of terror today following the persistent reports that the animal was running wild. John Landau is the latest person to have reported seeing the beast in the garden at the rear of his home near the city limits. He said his dog had been barking at the animal for several nights and that on investigation he sighted the ape in a crouched position. Others who have seen the anthropoid include 2 motorists from Detroit and another party of tourists from Mansfield. Although Sheriff D. Smith places little credence in the existence of the ape, he has offered the aid of deputies in finding the beast. Losing track of the Norwalk ape. Norwalk, Ohio, June 9th. Search for a huge ape believed to be at large near here was still in progress today, though no one had reported seeing the animal since last week. Carl Landau, a young farmer, discovered tracks, apparently those of the big anthropoid in the soft mud of the Huron River Valley, to the rear of his home on the old waterworks property a short distance west of the city. Landau's father and several other persons reported seeing the animal in that vicinity last week. The valleys of the East Branch of Huron River and Coal Creek are as densely wooded as an African jungle, and persons familiar with the country say the ape might have escaped there indefinitely. The city has been greatly interested in the search for the animal, which it is believed might have escaped from a circus. Hundreds of Sunday motorists visited the sections where the ape was reported seen, but no trace of it was found. Carl Landau reported that a decayed stump near his home has been torn to pieces. He believes the ape may have dug into it while searching for insects. The more skeptical are still included to doubt that there actually is an ape at large. Ohio's ape is again seen in Fremont vicinity. Fremont, Ohio, June 12th. Interest in the ape mystery, which has gripped this county for the past week, was heightened today when Frank Binder of Rice Township near here reported that he saw the prowling anthropoid. Posses of farmers and deputies from the county's sheriff's office organized immediately and started an intensive search in the district. It was believed the animal is in thickets several miles north of this city. Binder described the beast as a large gray animal. He declared that he chased it for some distance through a cornfield but finally lost trace of it. The animal had a peculiar style of running, Binder said. The strange animal was first reported seen on the western outskirts of Norwalk. A group of tourists from Detroit told city authorities they saw an ape. A motorist from Mansfield made the next report, which was followed by numerous stories from truck drivers and tourists. A thorough search by a large posse last weekend failed to reveal any trace of the ape. Ape from circus keeps villagers at home at night. Residents of Ohio town terror-stricken. Posse to search for the prowler. Lima, Ohio, June 28th. Panic-stricken residents of the village of Algier, 15 miles east of here, formed posses today to search for an ape supposed to have escaped from a circus at Cary, Ohio. The animal first appeared in Algier Thursday. Mayor Lyman Clark met it on the edge of a grove, and later it was seen on the porch of the Cooney farmhouse. Members of the family, thinking their dog might drive the ape away, attempted to coax the dog out of the house, but the animal refused to leave. On Friday, the ape appeared in a cornfield where Myron Herrick was at work. He fired several shots at it from a shotgun, but the ape escaped into the woods. For 2 nights, Algiers has appeared as a city of the dead, for there are no street lights and residents have feared to leave their homes after dark. Homerville, Ohio. Report ape seen near Sandusky. The elusive ape that has left a trail of terror in towns between Sandusky and Norwalk was reported to have entered a dwelling here today and frightened John Rucker and his wife from their home. Miss Rucker was first to see the animal entering the house by a rear door. As she screamed, her husband sighted the ape and, grabbing his wife by the hand, fled from the house. Sheriff John Parker of Sandusky was called, but deputies failed to find the animal. Instructions had been issued by the sheriff to capture the animal if found. Mr. and Miss Rucker assured deputies that the intruder was an ape. In conclusion, interestingly, the 2-month-long series of encounters, which included the towns of Norwalk, Fremont, Algiers, Homerville, and the Huron River, span areas and towns that are miles apart and in different counties. It is remarkable and sparks the question, was it the same creature or different ones? It is also remarkable how many different people saw this creature, ranging from farming families, boys at a swimming location, citizens in cars, and truck drivers on the road, tourists, hospital employees, a mayor, etc. If we take all 10 newspaper articles that were in 6 different newspapers over a 2-month period and put together the bits and pieces of testimonies and descriptions of the creature, we end up with it being apish in appearance, a gray color, anthropoid, which means man-like, in appearance, and having a peculiar style of running. The word anthropoid had not been used to refer to Bigfoot creatures before, so this was new. It did have a man-like appearance from a distance, but people had no point of reference to refer to a creature they had not seen before, and didn't seem to fit into the normal animal kingdom, so ape was the closest they could come to, and it was just assumed it had escaped from a nearby recent circus, giving the person confidence it could be captured and the problem solved. The reality was quite different. There was never any evidence an ape escaped a circus. The term used in one newspaper article, mystery ape, certainly applies here because no matter what county the sheriff organized posses in, which included 100 armed men ranging from citizens, farmers, and deputies, no trace of the creature was ever found, and it didn't matter if they were searching from midnight to morning, when supposedly the creature would be more active. Nothing was seen or heard. As far as hard evidence, beyond the encounter reports, we only have muddy tracks being found along the Huron River, people being visibly shaken, and some tree stumps being torn up on a man's property. No wonder some people thought others were simply seeing things. The creature was never captured, which led to more uneasiness, panic, curfew-like behavior, and locked doors from skeptics and witnesses alike. It's always interesting to note that no matter how long we go back in time, these Bigfoot always display the same behavior, like roaming cornfields, roaming woods, roaming riverbanks, tearing up trees, running away for cover of the woods, standing on porches of houses, and on rare occasions entering a house through a door. A good example of just how unpredictable and dangerous these creatures can be is what the last newspaper article had to report on July 30th in Homerville, Ohio. The creature entered the back door of the house of Mr. and Miss John Rucker, while he grabbed his screaming wife and fled out the front door. One could only imagine what could have happened if Mr. Rucker had not been there at the time his wife had been alone. An abduction and missing person, maybe? Would she have overcome her fear and quickly got away out of the front? Could this creature have attacked both of them in the house had they not acted immediately to flee? Lastly, about 1 month later, on August 28, 1930, and much further southeast to eastern central Ohio, to the towns of Cambridge and Zanesville, a rash of Bigfoot sightings and encounters would erupt. The same creature or different ones. And then there's just some photos of the area. Guys, I'm hearing some, I'm sure you guys can probably hear the woodpecker. It's being really loud. Not that sound. 3 times now, I'm hearing a laughing sound that sounds like a chimpanzee, like a monkey. Not a Bigfoot, but a monkey. And that's coming from behind the camera. I keep hearing movement coming from over here, back somewhere this way. But I did not see anything. I'm not going to stare over there because it was close enough. I don't want to see nothing. That's all there is to it. I don't want to see. I got one in here I want to read to you guys. I think it's this one. Is this not long? Okay, I don't think this one's long. Guys, I'm going to get the attachment so that I can use that Rode mic, because if I can mount that on my camera, point it this direction, it'll pick up all the background sounds. This wireless mic is only going to pick up my voice. There's just a lot of noise I'm getting from all out in this swamp right here that I'm not comfortable with. All right, heads up on this one. And I have not read this article. This is a note that Brother Don had sent when he sent these articles to me. And it says, parts of this are graphic. And it's in accordance to what the Sasquatch did to this family's animals. But it's fascinating, and you may want to read the boxed parts first before you read this to people, just so you're not surprised. Guys, let me reposition. I am not comfortable right here. I don't know what that movement is, but it's not a deer. I'm sure of that. Oh! Boy, that hurt. Oh, gee whiz. Give me a second. I'm gonna move closer to the vehicle. Sorry, guys. That's really loud. I'm hearing limbs breaking, and you can possibly hear it too. It was loud enough this mic may pick it up. My mic's right there. That's a woodpecker if you hear that. But that over there is not a woodpecker. I don't know what that is. Could be an animal, but I'm not gonna sit over there any further. Let me get up to where the truck is and we'll get set up. So take me. There's the laughing again. It's not an owl. That is a much different laugh. Owls laugh too. Or they make a sound that appears to be laughing. That sounds like a chimpanzee, literally like a monkey. All right, I'll be right back with you. Let me get up to the truck and we'll get set up. All right, guys, that's where I came from. We come out of this road right here, and I pulled the truck. I got the truck a lot closer. I was about 130, 140 yards up the hill. I don't know if I'm going to be able to back out of this. Well, let me figure out where I put there it is. All right. All right, you guys, just give you heads up on this article. Brother Don says it does have graphic parts as far as mutilated animals in it. If anything of that nature, if it's going to bother you, then you may want to just go ahead and end the video at this point. I wouldn't recommend listening any further. I don't want to. I'm going to try to do this. I may end up having to leave. There's movement right through there. You can't see in that, it's so thick. This is freaking me out. But guys, if the graphic things, if stuff like that is going to bother you, now there's not going to be pictures that I'm going to be showing. I'm going to be reading articles. This is not a story. It's not a fictional story. This is articles. A lot of this stuff is old newspaper articles, but these are articles that were documented all across the country, some across the world, by different news or media sources. And some of these are a couple hundred years old. This one here is from 2022, September. This is a recent one. But if anything of a graphic nature, if it offends you, if it makes you sick, if it causes you to have issues, panic issues from hearing stuff like that, then please stop the video right here. Don't continue to listen. I'm going to read you one of these warnings. Here's a couple of warnings that Don told me to read this before I decided to read it with you. All of these articles we share are to bring awareness to the existence of these creatures, not just the Bigfoot, but all of these oddities that are showing up. And so I'm going to do my part. When I receive stuff like this, I'm going to share it. I will try to skip over foul language to the best of my ability, and I won't go into details on any sexually explicit stuff that happens from the Sasquatch. We're going to skip that. But stuff like this needs to be heard to make people aware of what could happen from these beings, these forest people, or whatever you choose to call them. The first warning on this page says, warning, graphic, not for the faint of heart. And the next warning, this is in the preface, it says, warning, parts of this are graphic and may be hard to stomach. If you have PTSD, anxiety attacks, or are prone to nightmares, you may not want to listen any further. You have been warned, and that's what's on this article. I'm leaving the screen on. The battery may not hold up, but I got an extra battery. But you guys, please pay attention behind me. I know you can't yell at me if you see something, but I'm going to try to keep my eye on it and listen to what's happening around me, because I am getting noises that I'm not comfortable with. But I'm at the truck. Keys are in the ignition. I am armed, and I have access to my firearm, very fast access to it. I just hope it doesn't get to that. But all right, we're going to go ahead and do this. Oklahoma family endures the ultimate Bigfoot terror in 2022. The date is September 9th of 2022. The location is northeast Oklahoma. The information source is multiple eyewitnesses and multiple police reports, which includes deputies finding evidence of a huge footprint, mutilated animals, and home damage. The preface reads, rarely will you hear the following recent true accounts of the terror an innocent family went through and may still have more to deal with in the future. Some are convinced and counter-argue that the Bigfoot and dogmen in their area are non-aggressive and a live and let live situation exists between them and these beasts. But in this case, the polar opposite occurred and the family was in mortal danger. What makes it worse is that they didn't know why this started happening and why their daughter was the target of this very large, tall Bigfoot. In fact, the footprint size of this thing rivals the biggest one ever found, which was near Happy Camp, California, and measured 22 inches long. This beast was after some kind of revenge, starting with the mutilation of their pets in bizarre and sickening ways. What may have spurred this beast on is discussed below, and it involves events occurring on an adjacent property owned by the government. The terror begins. It all started with knocking on the outside of the house and pecking on my daughter's bedroom window. It got so bad she started sleeping with us, and I honestly thought she was just using this pecking on the window thing as an excuse to sleep in our room. But it got really old after a while. But then I remembered a video where the host said to please listen to your children, as they might really be seeing or hearing something. So I said, okay, we're going to get to the bottom of this one way or the other, as she can't continue sleeping by us every night. Before I go on any further, I want to add that none of this started happening until a coal mine company started digging for coal back behind our house, approximately a half a mile away. They were digging all day and running other equipment at night. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but this is when things started happening on our adjacent property. My wife was putting laundry away in my daughter's bedroom late one night around 11 p.m. and I heard her scream. I grabbed my 12-gauge shotgun, which I kept beside my rocking chair, and I ran to my 10-year-old daughter's bedroom. I saw it, she said. What? I said. It's huge. Its eyes are huge, she screamed. She described seeing a large creature with big eyes that had white around the pupil but glowing green like cat's eyes. It was at the window. The center of this bedroom window is 12.5 feet from ground level. I know my wife, and whenever she says she has seen something, I know she really has. I decided that very night to put our daughter into our bedroom, and I would stay in my daughter's bedroom with my shotgun beside the bed. I hid a large flashlight under my pillow, so if I needed light, I would not have to leave the bed to turn on a light. At 11:30 p.m., I heard something at the window. I turned and lit the window up with my flashlight, and there it was staring at me. The top of its head was almost 12.5 feet tall, according to the height of the window from the ground level. I could see the whites of its huge eyes, and they did glow like cat's eyes, but this time they glowed yellow. It had a humanish face, except it was mixed with what I would call a monster's face, like from an old monster movie. Humanish, but non-humanish at the same time. It's hard to explain. Its large bottom teeth came up past its bottom lip like a boar hog. It then covered its eyes, probably because of the flashlight I was shining at it, and it let out a very deep, low roar. Not a growl, but a roar. It shook the house, the windows, and the walls. It started punching the side of our house and making loud whistling sounds. I never expected this whistling. I know Bigfoots roar, scream, and howl. Others have described these sounds they make when they want to scare you. I know they do whistle, but I want to stress this thing started loud whistling uncontrollably with my wife and daughter screaming in the front room and our very protective German Shepherd dog barking outside. We had our dog for 7 years. It was a very chaotic scene. The women were panicked, and there I was looking at it through the bedroom window. I fired through the window glass. Oh, you guys, hold on just a minute. I'm sorry about that. Got a phone call. I forgot to put it in airplane mode. Oh, let me start over. We had our dog for 7 years. It was a very chaotic scene. The women were panicked, and there I was looking at it through the bedroom window. I fired through the window glass. I know in a lot of videos on YouTube, people ask, why didn't you shoot? Why didn't you shoot? Well, I did, and did not hesitate. Before firing through the window, I had put my flashlight down to grab my shotgun, so I'm not sure if I hit the creature or connected with it. It was a high brass turkey load I kept in my shotgun with a super full choke. I fired it from about 8 feet away, so the damage done should have been dramatic. The police are called. I did call the police, and a deputy arrived at our house. We did a report, and he did an inspection around the house and found a huge bare footprint with toes, deeply impressed in the ground underneath my daughter's bedroom window. I asked the deputy if he saw it, and he said yes. I asked the deputy if he saw it, and he said, yes, I do. The deputy then called the sheriff and asked if he should photograph the footprint evidence. The sheriff said, no, it's muddy out and probably a prowler who slid in the mud while window peeking. I know this was not a prowler because this track was 22 inches long by 11 inches wide. It remained quiet for the rest of the night with the exception of our dog barking all night. No beating on the house, no growls or howls. Later the next day I would go to Lowe's to get plexiglass to replace the broken window, as this was the cheaper option rather than spending the money I didn't have to replace the whole window. The next morning, a terrible sight. The next morning, my daughter went out to feed her rabbits, and then we heard her blood-curdling screams. I ran out, grabbing my shotgun to where my daughter was out in the yard by the rabbit pen, and my wife in close pursuit behind me. As we got closer to the rabbit pen, my daughter was crying, screaming, and shaking uncontrollably. My wife rushed her to the house. This next part is graphic, you guys. So if you don't want to hear it, please plug this part. When I looked in the pen, there the horror was. One of her little bunnies had been skinned perfectly with the skin hanging on the side of the rabbit cage. Then came a sight I never thought was possible or had ever seen. The skinned rabbit was hopping around a pen, still alive with no skin. That's a shame. That just makes you want to put holes in an animal that does that, or a being that does that. This next section I'm fixing to read is also graphic, you guys. It's short, but it's graphic. Looks like 3 or 4 sentences. 3 nights later, more horror and the second police visit. 3 nights later, a horrible sight. A neighbor's cat had been skinned and placed on the front windshield of my wife's car, and it was missing its head. We couldn't figure any of this out, and then we saw the cat's head had been placed on top of the radio antenna of my wife's car. This was getting to be too much, so we called the police a second time. The sheriff arrived and, of course, said it must have been hoodlums. A few nights later, the whistling returns and the third police visit. A few nights later, I was taking out scraps and I heard it whistle at me again. The same whistling I heard when I had been sleeping in my daughter's bedroom previously. I called the police again, and the sheriff showed up and spotlighted our whole property but saw nothing. At this point, they were starting to get frustrated with us, thinking that all of this was nothing. I know this can be typical where people call the police so many times afraid for their lives, but the police will no longer respond to your call. Later, I heard a weird noise at my daughter's bedroom window, and when I looked, it wasn't just the head I saw, but 2 large hands with large fingernails. It was trying to lift the window panel up by pushing and bending the plexiglass, bending it enough for me to see outside the sides of the window trim. I was freaked out and traumatized. I could see the same again, the large white eyes, but this time it was raising its eyebrows at me as it was trying to get through the window. I did not have my shotgun with me at this time, but I had my .357 Magnum. I fired it. It yelled. I knew I hit it this time because the yell it made was loud. Then it did another thing I had never heard of. It started using what sounded like an old Indian language, talking low and cursing me out in a low tone. Then it ran off. A week of quiet and then chaos. It kills their dog and tries to get in. A week had passed and all was quiet. I had figured it had died, or at least I had heard it enough and it wouldn't come back. How wrong I was. It was late. Although the dog was barking outside, we had all returned to our own bedrooms, enjoying the week of quiet we had enjoyed. As I'm sleeping, I hear my daughter yell at me that the dog is barking, so I got up out of bed to go check on the dog. At our back kitchen door, we have a doggy door that he can go in and out when he pleases, and he has used this for 7 years. the 7 years we've had him. I hear a thump outside. I didn't think much about it as it was windy outside and I kept tools out there, being a laborer, and thought maybe one of the tools had fell over as they have many times before. As I'm standing there, our dog sticks its head in through the doggy door and I tell him to come in, but something is not right. He does not come in. His eyes are not blinking and his mouth is not moving. A frozen, terrified look from its face. I also see black hair around the dog's head as it stuck through the top of the doggy door. Then the whole back door busts partially open with the top lock holding the back door from coming all the way open. Guys, this section is graphic. Here we go again. I see a black figure through the crack of the door, and as I'm looking at the head of my German Shepherd as it drops onto the kitchen floor at my feet from the black hand of this monster, it then took off running from the back porch. It beheaded their dog. It makes you just want to hunt them down and shoot them. Terrified family makes a fourth call to police while the Bigfoot attack continues. I called the police yet again, and this time I reported it had killed one of our animals and it had tried to get into our house. As we are waiting for the police to arrive, we hear a loud banging on the back kitchen door. We're terrified. I have my .357 Magnum, my wife has a shotgun, and we retreated to a room with our daughter, a room with no windows, while this thing was trying to get in the back door. All the beating and thumping finally came to an end when the sheriff arrived, and we all went to the back of the house and found what all the beating was. This is another graphic section. You guys, plug your ears. My German Shepherd had been torn apart, the head being removed and the other parts thrown against my back kitchen door, which was covered in blood. The Oklahoma Fish and Game arrive, and a honey bear is blamed. Fish and Game arrived and stayed for about a week, placing cameras all over my property. A helicopter from the National Guard assisted, and they said they were looking for a honey bear. I told them this was no darn bear, but they would have none of it. They said they had investigated these encounters many times, and it was a bear. A few nights into their stay, some shots were heard. The game wardens left as fast as they came, removing all the equipment and helicopter. I was told by the boss of these men that we believe we took care of the problem. We killed a large honey bear just a few hundred yards from your house, and he probably got stirred up from the digging going on at the coal mine operation. We don't think you'll have any more trouble. Of course, we sure hope you don't, because our land connects to government property, and if this continues to happen, we would probably buy out your property. I told him that would never happen because this property had been owned by my family and had been passed down for generations, and we were farmers. He said he didn't care. They would buy out the property for the safety of my family and relocate us. Final thoughts from the family, and are there more of them? This felt like the boss was telling us if things don't stay quiet, we're going to lose our place. I guess it's up to just us and our neighbors to decide if we have had enough of it. We now have a hunting party together along with our dogs, but this time it won't be raccoons we're hunting. So far, so good. All has been quiet with us and the neighbors. It seems Fish and Game may have went in and remedied the situation. They removed something, but I don't believe it was a honey bear. And I don't believe that is all of them, because we're still hearing howls deep down in the gully. I'll keep in touch. In conclusion, sounds like a pig, but they wouldn't be this close to me. In conclusion, is there anything to be learned from this family's horrifying encounters with this huge Bigfoot? Much indeed. First of all, no activity had ever happened on this property until the coal mining began a half mile away on adjacent government land. It is possible the digging collapsed dwelling places of a tribe of Bigfoot, either at or near the work site, causing a 12-foot tall alpha male Bigfoot with a 22-inch foot to become very angry and aggressive, and the first humans around to take revenge on was this family. It is very unsettling and creepy. This 12-foot monster targeted the girl first and knew where her bedroom was. It's assumed from the evidence it wanted to get at her and probably abduct her if she had opened the window after it had tapped to get her attention. The parents would have never known. It most likely had watched this girl before on the property. As usual, this monster targeted the youngest, most vulnerable, and weakest of the human tribe, just like a predator might do in the wild. As it turns out, this thing knew how to operate a window and get it open. How unsettling is that? The whistling this thing did after the father shot at it through the daughter's bedroom window could be presumed that it was calling to others in its tribe to join it in the attack and assault on this family's home, or perhaps to disorient the humans inside. It is not mentioned if the father figured out why the Bigfoot was whistling while attacking the home, but we know how they whistle to each other to communicate or give signals. And this is more of the graphic stuff, just mentioning what had happened to the animals. So if you don't want to hear this, looks like about 6 sentences. Here we go. The skinning of the girl's rabbit while it was still alive in its cage, the skinning of the neighbor's cat and placing the parts of it on the wife's windshield, and the killing and dismemberment of the family's German shepherd and sticking the head through the doggy door to make the father think the dog wanted to come in, and maybe the creature could grab the father when it reached down to touch the decapitated dog's head shows diabolic evilness, cunning, and grossness on the part of this beast. Bigfoot don't like dogs, at least ones that bark and give their presence away. For anyone that argues the Bigfoot in their area haven't bothered their dogs and even play with their dogs, that is an exception to the general rule and should not be assumed as the norm. If Bigfoot can kill your dog and the opportunity is there, it will happen. Let's not forget the trauma this man's daughter went through at first hearing tapping on her bedroom window and the parents not thinking it was anything serious and wanting to abandon her own bedroom. Some things this Bigfoot did was plain gross. Can you imagine a 12-foot hairy monster with huge glowing eyes breaking into your house? Where would you go? Where would you hide? Would you survive? Let's hope Game and Fish did get this one, but it sounds like there are more for the family to deal with, possibly as they continue to hear screams and howls coming from a gully. Though we may admire and are interested in the mysterious paranormal abilities they possess and the mystique that surrounds them, in reality, these creatures cannot be trusted, plain and simple. They have strength, size, and abilities way beyond us humans. There is much to learn here. Let the listener decide what parts of this encounter may be of some use and protection for themselves. All right, guys, these are photographs. I'm not going to go over them. I'm going to get out of here. There's something moving right here, and I am not being quiet, talking. Not being quiet at all. And whatever it is, it's still moving. I doubt you guys are going to be able to hear it with this microphone. I will be getting the attachment where I can use, I think I got it, where I can use that Rode mic. Because with that one, it'll pick up everything. Guys, I'm getting out of here. It's got me creeped out. I really wanted to finish that article. Y'all have a good day. God bless you. I love you, and I'll absolutely be seeing you soon. That's where I'm hearing it at. Right there. I don't know if can you hear that at all? It's right there now. It may just be a coon or something, but whatever it is, it ain't for me. I love you all. God bless you. We'll see you soon. keep your eyes peeled. I'll be doing a show soon, and I'll see you guys in the very, very near future. Y'all be kind, be well, be blessed, and I'll definitely see you soon. Just on a side note, Brother Jeff is doing well. They had to shock his heart because it had jumped rhythm, and that was part of what he was experiencing as far as issues he was having. It was heart related. They got his heart back on track on the right rhythm. They amputated part of his big toe, and he's feeling a lot better. He's almost feeling back to his normal self. Hopefully he'll be getting out of the hospital in the very near future. And as soon as he does, I will absolutely let you know. And who knows, maybe I can convince him into joining me on a live show so that he can give thanks to all of you for the prayers that y'all sent out for him. But I love you guys. I'll see you soon. Till then, be safe. Bye. I've got to try to back all the way up this hill. I don't know if I can do that. We'll see you guys. Guys, I know y'all are not going to be able to see much. I mounted the camera on the front of the hood. Getting all kind of noises here. Noises back in here in the swamp where we was filming at earlier. I'm going to try to turn around. I got the camera on the hood in case we get something in the headlights. But once I get to the gate, I'm stopping the recording, and that'll be the end of this video. But just maybe we'll see a deer or something. I don't know. Here we go. I think I got the angle wrong. Oops, sorry. Here we go.
All right, guys, headed home. Thank you for hanging out with us. We love you.